Well, hello guys, Mark Holmes here, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Okay, so, Vosh wanted me to do fantasy football. And, I've been doing it kicking and screaming, and actually shout out to Eric and Sal because they are running my team. See, I'm doing what the Dallas Cowboys should be doing. I'm the owner of the team. I'm the owner. That's it. I'm the owner. And I put people in position to succeed. That's why I've got my two GMs, Eric and Sal. They take care of the team. I just kick back and we are 2-0. That's right. We beat Foot's team last week. We take on Space Cowboy this week. And that's the way it's supposed to run. Note Jerry Jones. But if you really want to know fantasy football for me, what's a fantasy football for me is seeing the Eagles melting down. To see Philly.500. Oh, Philly. He's scared. He's scared. He's worried about losing the belt and worried about losing eggnog. It could happen. But it's kind of fun to see and hear all the people literally trashing Carson Wentz. Oh my God. So we were riding down the road this morning and I was listening to Greeny, it's called, ESPN radio. And he was going off about Carson Wentz. And like people have been saying, oh, well, it's not Carson Wentz. It's the offensive line. But he has an argument it's crazy. I tell you what, I started recording it. And unfortunately, I thought I recorded the whole thing and didn't. So here's what I caught. And here's actually what Mike Greenberg actually had to say. And we'll talk about it when it's done.
Which is exactly the league average. And his QBR is 59.9, which is exactly the same as Jameis Winston's. Right now, his team is winless. It drafted a quarterback in the second round, and they got booed off the field Sunday in a game without fans. So maybe he goes out and plays great against the number one pick in Joe Burrow in Cincinnati this weekend. And all this quiets down. And then he continues to play well, and then it all just becomes, well, he had two bad games this year, and they happen to be the first two. But if they should ever lose this weekend to Cincinnati, I wonder what the reality might be. You don't take a quarterback in the second round without the intention of playing him. Some point soon. I don't know exactly how soon. I don't know what their plan is. They have Wentz signed for the next 3 years. They are indebted to him financially in ways that would be devastating to make a significant change. So I don't expect them to bench him. I don't expect them to bench him this whole year. I can't fathom how bad it would have to get for them to make that decision, because it would have such an enormous impact on the entire football team, the organization going forward. And it would be a huge admission of enormous mistakes. I don't expect them to do it, and I don't think that they should. I still believe in Carson Wentz. I just think it's important to point out that for all the excuses that seem to be made constantly, the reality is he's just played badly. It's only 2 weeks. Maybe he'll get better. All right, now it's time for some Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. The NFL weekend.
Wow. I thought I had that on record before, but he was going through the numbers. Literally, Carson Wentz is the worst statistically bad quarterback in the NFL. They compared him to the same the numbers of Jameis Winston. He's taken more sacks than anybody else and thrown more interceptions. And they talked about the offensive line, because a lot of people say, oh, well, his offensive line is bad. Greeny pointed out that according to whatever ratings, I don't know if it was Pro Football Focus, that Carson Wentz actually has got the fifth best protection in the NFL. But the internal clock for Carson Wentz is not going off, where he realizes, I got to get rid of the ball. He had 0 throwaways, as in, I got to get rid of the ball and just throw it out of bounds so I don't take a sack. So literally, the warning bells are going off on Carson Wentz. And I know Eagle fans, even Philly.500, is kind of like, man, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's just not the guy. It's been since that hit Clowney had on him that he has not been the same. Maybe they knocked some sense out of him. We'll have more on that later.
Through 2 weeks of this season,
Who has been the worst quarterback in the NFL? Well, a pretty compelling case could be made that the answer is Carson Wentz. No one has thrown more interceptions. No one has been sacked more times, and no one has made more off-target throws. Since his team was up 17-0 on Washington, the Eagles have scored touchdowns on 2 of 21 drives. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's the banged-up offensive line. Guess what? You're wrong. Our analytics actually have the Eagles 5th in the league in pass protection. The problem has actually been the internal clock and decision-making. Week 1, Wentz took 8 sacks and threw the ball away 0 times. Of his 20 off-target throws this year, 15 have come from a clean pocket. This cannot be described as other people's fault. The truth is this. In 2017, Wentz was an MVP frontrunner before he got hurt. On a team so good it won the Super Bowl without him, beating Tom Brady in a game in which Brady threw for 500 yards and his team didn't punt. The following year, Wentz was 5-6 when he got hurt again. Nick Foles finished 4-1, beat the #1 defense in the league in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the numbers say that since then, Wentz has been an average quarterback. Since that first injury, the Eagles are 14-15 in his starts. They scored 23 points a game, which is exactly the league average. And his QBR is 59.9, exactly the same as Jameis Winston's. Right now, his team is winless. It drafted a quarterback in the 2nd round, and it got booed off the field Sunday in a game with no fans. They get the Bengals this week in what suddenly feels a little bit like a crossroads. If the Eagles wind up on the wrong side of this, figure their city to be an awfully tough place to find.
Wow. So they are literally saying Carson Wentz is the worst quarterback in the NFL. Now that, my friends, is fantasy football. And it gets worse for the Eagles because next year scheduled and contracts that are already there, $265 million. They're already way over the cap. And they have Zach Ertz who wants to get paid as well. Bad things are headed for the Eagles. And let's go back to Philly.500 on his thoughts about Howie Roseman.
I fire Howie. Fucking fire that motherfucker. Stupid motherfucker. What an idiot. What an idiot. Dallas has Amari Cooper and Gallup, but we don't need a receiver. Are you kidding me? I don't want Justin Jefferson. He's ass. He's stupid. I fire his ass. I fire his ass. I mean, Howie's got to be stupid. What are you doing? You just let Dallas take him. You... Unbelievable.